Hi everyone, my name is Katherine Regnier. Thank you very much for the introduction. That was my whole presentation, so now I have to come up with something new. So I'm the CEO and founder of Coconut Calendar. Let's just try this out here. Okay, so wild things from seed to Series A. Cool, not what you think, okay? So what is Coconut? So Coconut is an enterprise-grade appointment scheduling platform. And I just wanted to do a quick introduction. So you talked a lot about this. So one thing is I quit my job when I was 3 months pregnant, bootstrapped the company from 2011 to 2016. I thought VCs were the complete devil. I was very much about bootstrapping and building a great company. But what happened is that I got introduced to a gentleman named Neil Dempsey out of San Francisco who invited 4 entrepreneurs to the Valley, and 3 were from Europe, and myself, the only woman. And we lived in a house together for a year. So Jersey Shore, but much more professional. There was some okay, I won't even go there. And so it really opened up my eyes in that month is that if you can get the right people with investment, with money, you can really change your company. And we go back to that whole turning on the floodlights versus trying to fumble with the light switches. And so Neil Dempsey said to me, you know, I had a really successful company in Canada there, which means Toronto if anyone says Canada, as I've learned. I'm from Saskatoon. Any Rough Rider fans? Okay, one, great, thanks for that. So I'm from Saskatoon, and we've built our company partly there and in Toronto as well. So he said, I had this good company called Eloqua. Who here knows who Eloqua is? Yeah, because if you don't know, they sold for $1 billion to Oracle. So, you know, that's just said in passing. And so those 2 gentlemen, Steve Woods and Paul Tejima, said to me, you know what, I'm going to open up the doors in Toronto for you. And they started introducing me. One of the things they said to me was, you should really go to TechTO. And so I went to my first TechTO event. That was about 365-ish days. It's closer to 400 days. And at that point, I had talked about going from bootstrap to a seed round and my journey along that. So today is really about from my seed to the Series A because it's been really a wild ride. But the number one question, so I like to provide lessons learned to the audience versus just rambling about my story, is I got asked a dozen questions afterwards till like 2 a.m. I'm like, I have to leave, and I appreciate the questions. But the biggest thing was I want to have a startup, but I want to have a family, or I want to go to school, but I want to do the startup. And so a lot of the questions came about choosing between having a family and pursuing your dream. And I was questioned a lot about that. Well, you're 3 months pregnant, you should stay and get your mat leave. And I thought to myself, no, I don't have to choose. So that was the biggest thing that I wanted to portray today is you don't have to pick. If you're thinking about doing a startup, you can do both. What I can tell you, and I said I wouldn't swear because we were in City Hall, but what I can tell you is that this is actually really my life. This is 5 weeks after I had a baby. This is a real baby. That's my son Tyson. He's so sweet, above average. That's a mom comment. So you don't have to pick, but what I can tell you is that it's not for everybody. There's no such thing as balance. We talk about work-life balance. There's no such thing if you're going to be a startup and you're going to have a family. Even just a startup alone without a family, there is no balance to it. So one of the lessons that I learned with myself, and this is Founders 101, is work-life balance I do not believe exists at all. And it's all about boundaries. So for instance, in our house, I do lots of traveling. I'm in Toronto half the time, is that I'm at home on weekends. So it might be gym time for you that you need to carve out. It might be no phones at the dinner table that you need to carve out. But you need to figure that out and you need to protect it. Because the people around you that support you need to understand that they're valued as well, because you need this whole support system in order to make this kind of company grow. Okay, that's a philosophical part of me. Okay, next. Remember to ask for what you want. We forget about this often, about just saying, this is what I want. And so when I went to the first TechTO event, I emailed, I was like, I should talk there, because I'm so awesome. They agreed. That was crazy, but okay. So ask for what you want. So I have been trying to convince our team to get a G6. None of our investors are agreeing to that, but maybe one day. But the thing about asking is that when I had emailed and said, could I maybe speak, would you be interested? I'm from Saskatoon, and Toronto's been a huge influence to me. They said yes. And I went and spoke at TechTO about 365 days ago. And what happened there is that there was an analyst, Christian Grunt, he's here tonight somewhere. There you are. It started a conversation, it sparked a conversation, and I think that's what the value of these events is just getting the conversation going. That conversation then turned into a $4.2 million investment from a few firms in Toronto. And I really have to applaud TechTO for giving me that opportunity. So thank you, Jason. Like $4.2 million. It wasn't as easy as I made it sound. It really was. It really wasn't. So I just wanted to talk a little bit from seed to Series A. So if you are, pardon? Good. Okay. So if I'm way over 8 minutes, that I knew would happen. Thank you. Okay. So the biggest, some of the lessons learned in terms of investor selection is that Coconut is very much about people, passion, and performance. And so it's the people you surround yourself with, and money is definitely second. And so when we were looking at who did we want in our Series A, I think it's very common that when you're raising money, you're just like, I hope they pick me. I hope they like me. But we need to really change that around and realize that us as CEOs are in the drivers, and it's who do we want to work with for a really long time, because it's a marriage with a guaranteed divorce, as so I've been told. And so you really want to pick the right people, and they just happen to be an investor, because those are the people that you have to align yourself with and that are going to turn on the floodlights. And last but not least, we were a team of 5 people. We've grown to 35. I would really like to make note that our team is actually exactly 50% women, and 38% of those are on the product team as well, product and engineering. So myself and our CTO, Romeo Ayula, are very dedicated to diversity. You can actually accomplish a lot when people think differently and conquer challenges. So in that, my last talking point of my lessons learned is that when you go from 5 to 35 and you're hiring, and I know there's companies who've probably hired even more, like 100 and some by June, I feel HR, whew, okay. The one thing with hiring, so when we raised our money, one of the goals was to hire seasoned professionals, people who've been there and done that. As a first-time CEO, I'll be honest, sometimes you don't know what good looks like. You think you do, but you actually don't. And so when you're interviewing, this was the biggest thing, our CEO, Mark Ramsey, who's here, we had 4 candidates, one from San Francisco who had a huge exit, and we had 3 from Toronto that we were looking at. And Mark was the only person who could actually tell me how are we going to get from point A to point B. And so many times when we're interviewing, we want to believe in what they're telling us is that, I can do that, yeah, I've done that, okay, that's great. But when I actually got to the nitty-gritty of saying, you tell me what the plan is, you tell me how, Mark was the only one that could actually give me that formula of how we were going to get successful from A to B. So don't disappoint me, Mark. No pressure. Don't this up. And so that's really my lessons learned from actually just starting in tech, starting to believe in venture capital, surrounding myself with fabulous people, and Toronto has been absolutely wonderful to me. I am so grateful to be here. We just opened up our downtown office, 40 University. I'm from Saskatchewan, so we say the landmarks. You know where the Royal York is? We're right beside there. And so we've been very fortunate to have the welcoming that we've had and been able to grow our company and create 20 jobs within the last year here in Toronto. So thank you for that opportunity. And this is not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question.
Oh, we have questions. Okay, questions. Anyone?
So if you're seated down here in the council, you can actually use your own microphone. Maybe I shouldn't tell this to everybody. Oh gosh. But by turning on the yellow and turning it off. So I challenge you down here to ask some really compelling questions. Did you want to ask a question to yourself?
No.
We can do that.
No, yeah. We don't have enough time. Over here. Yes. that's a really great question.
Can you repeat
So-
the question?
So the question was, did any of our funding come from Canada? So yes, out of the 4.2, about 4 million of that came from Toronto. Information venture partners, scale-up ventures, and as well as stand-up ventures were the main. Absolutely. So many people. So I'm a part of CoLabs, which is in Saskatchewan, one of the first tech incubators. And one of the things the gentleman said is like, oh, I can't raise money. I'm from Saskatchewan. And I think that is obviously been proven that we can. And we've also proven that 5% of the women in tech can do it. So no excuses anymore for anywhere in Canada.
One last question.
Yes. Use your mic, sir.
So what was your happiest moment?
Oh, I haven't been happy for a really long time. You know what's really funny? We had our first board meeting in Saskatoon, and it's -50, so no one's as happy at all. And I had a picture of our dinner at our, like, for closing the round, and I said, this is the last time everyone is going to be smiling. So we took a picture. My happiest moment, I absolutely love what I do. I think that's why I can do the family and do this, because I am so grateful every morning that somebody has given me the opportunity to do what I do. And this is actually pretty awesome. City Hall in Saskatoon hasn't had me speak, people. So thank you. Just being able to do this every day. There's not just ever one moment, I don't think. Thanks.
Thank you.